Hey guys, new video here. I just wanted to go over what I think is this kind of like a response to one of the videos from ebikeschool.com about what's enough power, or what's kind of the max enough power for e-bike. And I like to take it into a perspective of just pretty much just wind resistance and also total cost. So I made a quick table here. Has kilometers per hour and miles per hour on the left. And then we have wind resistance, incremental wind resistance, the wattage needed, the total power needed to achieve that speed, the net power, which is wind resistance plus the power needed, and then uh, the motor size as 75% of the net power needed, and then rounded off of that is the motor suggestion. And then we have the motor cost, which is usually from eBay or Leaf, and the battery cost, which is usually 2 times the suggested battery. So, for example, if the motor is 250 watts, I would suggest a 500 watt hour battery. For the most part, there are certain cases where that's not true because that's such as the 3,000 watt and the 5,000 watt. That's not true. The total cost a is just a combination of the two. The win per dollar efficiency, that's the dollar, or that's the dollar needed per per wind for the wind power needed. So basically, how much money you need to spend to achieve to get over the wind resistance. And then finally, we have miles per hour per cost. So uh, in the case of the 250 watt motor, 12.5, you're paying around $48 per miles per hour. If you take a look at the incremental wind resistance, I think this is kind of really key. And I've highlighted the 21.7 and the 24.8 miles per hour, or 35 kilometers to 40 kilometers. I highlighted that as kind of the sweet spot. And the reason why is if you take a look at the fourth column, the incremental wind resistance from 22 miles per hour to 25 miles per hour is 29 watts. So prior to that, it's kind of like a steady increase. And then all of a sudden, it just kind of jumps pretty fast. And that's really due to just the equation for wind resistance, which is to the second power. I think it starts to get pretty steep in terms of what's available, in terms of like the power available, the kind of motors available out there, right at that 20 to 22 miles per hour. Um, and the green bro, that's kind of what I have. And I for the motor cost, I put in the Cyclone 3000, which is the cheapest 3 kilowatt, quote unquote 3 kilowatt motor at 350. If you take a look at the, sorry, my cat's going crazy also. If you take a look at the win per dollar efficiency, uh, between 35 kilometers per hour and 40 kilometers per hour, it jumps almost 10 cents. And then it jumps almost 10 cents again for every or for every 5 kilometers per hour. That's pretty big compared to, for example, 30 kilometers to 35 kilometers per hour, or around 18 miles to 22 miles. That only really jumped like 5 cents, right? So you can see the cost gets pretty great. It increases pretty steadily, and obviously all of this depends on the actual cost of the motors that you get, and the cost of the motors are not linear. For example, like a 500 watt motor is not, or 1,000 watt rear hub is not twice the cost of a 500 watt rear hub. Is actually pretty much about the same on eBay at this point. It's 160 versus 140, so it's kind of what you can find. And I think that in terms of just the cost efficiency, I would aim for a cruising speed, and this is why I suggest 75% of the motor. Now, obviously, you don't. In my mind, in my philosophy, you don't want to go max amps, max out your controller just to go to your cruising speed. You want to be at around 75% throttle, and that's why I did that motor suggest and around or in the 75% load kind of suggestions. So I would say 1,000 watt. I would say you see that the band does I guess like a rouge band right there. I would say you want to sort of land somewhere around there. It's just basically you're just so efficient in terms of the wind, and you're just there's just a lot of kits out there, so the prices are pretty good. And this price for the battery, that's actually 2,000 watt hours, which will give you theoretically 2 hours of ride time at 1,000 watts, right? Uh, I, you don't want to charge your bike to 100% and then also discharge it always 0%. So try to discharge it to a minimum 20%. And if you want to charge your bike to 100%, charge it to 100% and then go right away. Don't leave it for a week or something like that, or a couple of days. Um, I would leave the state of charge at somewhere around 80%. And then if I want to go for a really long ride, I would charge it to 100% and then just go right away. But anyway, that's besides the point. What I mean is that I would think, if you take a look at this rouge section here, I think this is kind of the ideal, just for what we're having at the moment. I would say this is the ideal. So you want to get like around 1,000 watt motor, maybe 750. You could do it, but I would. There's not many 750 watt kits out there, so the only one I could find is from Leaf. Then this is for a 26-inch rear wheel kit, and that's 270 compared to 1,000 watts from eBay at 160. I would go with the 1,000 and just put like, I mean, if you're really scared about the laws, just put a 750 watt sticker on there or something like that. Um, and then the battery, $800. That's the maximum. That's 2 times the max motor size, which is 2 kilowatt hours. You don't have to go 2 kilowatt hours. I think you will enjoy the bike a lot more with 2 kilowatt hours for $800, and this is eBay prices. Not sure about the battery brands or anything like that. They should be generally pretty good. So for a total cost around about $1,000. If you take half of that battery, you will be at around $560, which is pretty good. And does not obviously include the bike or any of the wires, connections that you need. Um, and this also kind of goes in line with the incremental wind efficiency. If you take a look at the third or the fourth column, it jumps from 16 watts per mile, miles per hour to 29. So at somewhere around this point, it's the sweet spot in terms of wind efficiency. And 22 miles, 20 miles per hour, that's fast enough, guys. I know people want to go 40. People love to watch the 5,000 kilowatt or 5,000 watt videos or 3,000 watt videos of people going like 40, 50 miles per hour, zooming past cars and having a blast. And that's really fun, but in terms of efficiency standpoint, it's not very efficient. And unless you have like $3,000, or $2,000 in this case, to spend on that, it's not really cost effective. Um, and also, sorry, I need to start up a new recording. And also, this is cruising speed, so I'm saying 22 miles per hour, or somewhere 20, 22, 23 miles per hour. That's your cruising speed. That's not your top speed. You can definitely go 30 miles per hour, typically on 1,000 kilowatt or on a 1,000 watt kit. So you can have fun now and then. Just speed it up, go crazy. Go 40 miles per hour downhill or something like that with the you know with the 1,000 watt motor. Um, so you can definitely still have fun, but in terms of like an efficiency standpoint, you're going on a commute. You want to have the best efficiency cost ratio. I think it's 1,000 watt motor, and I think the speed should be somewhere around 20 to 23 miles per hour, just given these calculations that I have done here. Um, so I had the 3 kilowatt, which is the green. I didn't spend $1,000 or 1,200 on the kit. It's much less. My battery is much smaller. But you can see my incremental wind at 35 miles per hour. It's 40 watt per mile. That's crazy. It's 600-watt total resistance. It's not efficient, guys. I could do it, but I mean, I'm gonna deplete my battery or my generator setup or whatever hybrid setup pretty quickly. So anyway, hope you guys liked that video. That's kind of my thoughts on it, and I think people have different thoughts, different opinions. That's just kind of what I think the current technology, battery technology, and motor technology is. 22 miles per hour, 1,000 watt, 1,000 watt rear hub.